Okay.
All right. Ready?
Episode 2. Okay. So, first things first, thank you. Thank you to everybody who gave us comments, questions, concerns. Super appreciate it. We love it. Glad you're watching. We're going to hope to keep it going. Anything from you?
Yeah. Well, it was an emotional day, wasn't it? Like, I don't know about you, but I mean, obviously, you could tell we were excited. I think it showed in what we were doing, but it was so emotional in other ways that I didn't expect. Like, I don't know if you realize this, but when you do something like this, you really make yourself vulnerable because you don't know how you're going to be received. Add to that the technology, which was a bit tricky, and then self-promotion, which I am totally not comfortable doing. So, yeah, a little bit dramatic, a little bit emotional last week, but I think we both agree that sorry to interrupt your lunch, DJ, that it was fun, right? It was so fun. I had a good time. So, but we are very moved and appreciative of all your support, all your feedback, and your comments. So awesome. And absolutely no pressure to be hysterical, right?
Yeah. Sure.
Getting hot in here. You're good. I am getting so hot.
She told me that there was something that she was going to have planned. That was apparently it. Do you remember when we first did that? We were singing in front of a bunch of my old friends, and I was like in 6th grade. Yeah, I never had that stage where you got embarrassed by your parents.
Never. You never had it.
Screw it.
One of my favorite things about you is that you were cool enough to let me be me around your friends.
Let's go.
And join in. So I always love that.
I love you.
Aw, that's so sweet.
All right.
So after we made that decision to post our first take, I had a little panic moment. I thought about all the connections that I wanted to make that I didn't feel like I got to make. For example, like the whole reason we were talking about Lizzo, that wasn't random. That was because she kind of exemplifies a trend in Gen Zers. They, when they made resolutions this year, they were more focused on that body positive movement, accepting of all bodies. And so is she. In fact, they're less concerned about losing weight than they are staying fit. And they're also more concerned about being happy and that self-care. So that's, kind of my reaction to what happened.
You think about her now?
I do. Thank you for giving me that closure. But I guess it was a kind of a good thing I felt that way because it made me think about, maybe reflect on why I'm so critical. And my first thought was because I'm a perfectionist. I've always thought of myself as a perfectionist. That was part of my neurotic personality. So I did some research, which is what I always do when I question behavior, right? And then I found out I'm really not a perfectionist at all. I just have really high standards, which is a good thing. Yeah, it's a good thing. But the definition of perfection is actually threefold. It is having those high standards. But the one thing that it is that I'm not is I don't judge my self-worth based on how I achieve those standards. So I didn't feel bad about me at all. I felt bad about the product. I wanted that to be better next time. So, and then the other component of perfectionism is the stress or the negative consequences you get as a result of setting those high standards. So I have 1 and 3. But to be sure, I actually went to psychology today and took a perfectionist test, and I have a healthy level. So in case you were worried, we're good. I'm actually going to post that link so you all can take that perfectionism test if you're interested.
I absolutely did not take that test because I don't think I'm a perfectionist. You're not worried about that at all? I don't get really. Hey, you guys can. Anybody that knows me, do I seem like a perfectionist? I don't think so.
No, you're pretty so. I think, perfectionism is a good thing, or a lot of people think it's a good thing. They think that that's what we want to achieve, but really it's not. This creates such a high demand that it can be self-defeating. It can really lead to unhappiness.
Yeah. Going into the quote that I have, Jace Cameron, people call me perfectionist, but I'm not. I'm a rightist. I do something until it's right, and then I move on to the next thing. So from your perspective, looking back on it, you were creating a little bit of an anxiety, a little bit of negative emotions because we were so worried about it being perfect, right? But at the time, I'm sure we could look at our first one and say that was definitely right for our first one. If not, probably better than most people's, right? So we can look on that, and instead of having negative emotions, we now have a little bit more control, a little more contentment, a little bit more serenity within it so that we can be more open to you guys in other avenues of our lives.
I've watched it a few times, the video,
Oh, me
and
too. I put it on a
I
loop.
enjoy it. I feel like it showed how much fun we were having, and that's what I saw in it too. So, I enjoyed it for that. So there's a big difference between upholding high standards and perfectionism. One is prepared to strive for excellence, but acknowledging that doing so can require some flexibility, while the other tends to be much more rigid. And so, but perfectionism is something that's on the rise for young adults.
Well, going into technology, what are we seeing? Perfect bodies, perfect vacations, perfect. We're seeing all the perfect things except of the perfect imperfections that makes life so freaking beautiful. Deep, right? Right? And then another one, right? The computer brings out the uptight perfectionist in us because we start editing ideas before we have them. Same thing, right? We go right onto social media or onto our phones, and once again, we're being filled with almost these automatic thoughts and kind of running solely on emotions as opposed to looking at it with our own train of thought, right? So it always just ties back into just being happy. No perfect. Perfect is unattainable, and it's actually very boring. Why would you want to be perfect? Do you want to be perfect?
No. Right. The American Psychological Association did a meta-analysis of cohorts from 1989 to 2016, and they looked at 3 different types of perfectionism. They looked at self-oriented, which is having an excessively high personal expectation, socially prescribed perfectionism, which is excessively high social expectations, and then they looked at other-oriented perfectionism, which was having exceptionally high standards of expectations of other people. And in all cases, they found it increased, but especially socially. And socially, going back to what you were saying, is the most important because that is the one that's more associated with mental health. And like you said, our society does place a high emphasis on social comparison. What do we do when we see somebody? We should be celebrating their happiness, but oftentimes we immediately do a comparison to ourselves.
Yeah. One thing that I can kind of relate to there is if I took a picture shirtless with a bunch of guys, right? I used to in high school been like, oh, does my six pack look as good, or are they making me look bad? And I remembered it wasn't until I left I went to Florida, and I was with a couple of buddies, and first off, both of them looked much better than me. You guys know who you are. Shout out, Tal and Joe. But the first thing I looked at was actually our smiles and how we looked happy, and then I kind of resorted to that. But the old me would have been like, who looks better? Is like, well, I feel like I look happy there. That's all that matters. Right.
That's awesome. That's a healthy place to be. Yeah. Some tips for managing perfection include understanding that failure is not a weakness. So failure to try, failure to learn from our mistakes, those are weaknesses. But failure itself is not a weakness. Yeah, like we were saying, that would be boring, right?
Yeah, there's no way to genuinely, powerfully, truly love yourself while crafting a mask of perfection. It's impossible. It's not possible because you're always going to be trying to strive for something that's impossible instead of setting your sights on something more real, which is the happiness, or just doing it right, doing it successfully, or maybe making it right for you next time.
Another tip for managing perfectionism is understanding that some goals are healthier than being perfect. Like if you grew in some way as a result of your effort, that should be your focus. If you were happy doing it, that should be your focus. Whether it's perfect should not be your focus.
Absolutely.
And then understanding that even a not so strong finish is better than not trying at all. Like if we were waiting for perfection, we probably never would have posted a podcast. We wouldn't.
No, it would never be attainable. It would never be attainable, right?
And also, like going back to what you're saying, when you're on social media, you're remembering that we have a tendency to share our good news, and we should be celebrating that with people. We should be celebrating with them. At the same time, remembering that it's very likely that they're also dealing with stuff too, just like all of us do. And, they're just doing it silently. No one has a perfect life, despite what it looks like on social media.
Oh my gosh.
So keeping that in mind. And I've always told you guys growing up, there are always going to be people who have more than you, always. But there's also people who have a lot less. It's just a matter of perspective.
We're all dealt a hand, some good, some bad. Some of us got pocket aces, some of us got nothing. But we still have to play it nonetheless, instead of just squandering it, trying to look for perfection or look for maybe that advantage that we never got. Make your own advantage. Be your own advantage. Ooh, that was good.
That was.
Sorry. Yes. Let's go. Sorry.
If you were a perfectionist or not. We've got a list of behaviors. I thought it might be fun to go through the list and identify if we have these behaviors or now.
Go.
So the first one is struggling to make decisions. Do you do that?
No. I just bought a car and
It was
pretty easy.
I have trouble in some areas of my life making decisions, and in others not so much. At work, managing the home, those decisions come very easily for me. But like the extra stuff, like you asked me to plan a vacation, full on panic mode. Like I find that stressful.
See, for me, the decision is made is where we're going to and what the tickets are bought and when we're leaving, but what we're doing there. Right. We'll see what happens.
Definitely not you. Another behavior is reassurance seeking. So if you're constantly looking for reassurance about what you're doing,
I think the folks at home are going to have a better idea if I do that or not. I don't think I do that. Do you?
I don't think so.
I don't think you do that.
I don't think I do it either.
Do you do
it? Excessive organizing and list making.
Hell to the no.
I organize, but not excessively. Like I have a general list, but not excessive. Giving up easily? No, I don't do that either. No.
Ask anybody who's ever on a sports team with me. The one thing I am good at is not giving up. That's the only thing I was really good at. Oh my gosh.
Procrastinating?
Interesting. I think a lot of people can probably say that they do that. Why is that on a perfection? Maybe because we are afraid
of fail, so we don't want to try, so we wait and we wait and we wait. We don't want to do it.
You put it off, and then and then you get more of an intrinsic, which is a time delay. So it's not so much intrinsic; it's more extrinsic at that point.
Yeah. Procrastinating, I only do that when it's something I don't want to do. But most things I do, I enjoy doing.
I try to get stuff done.
Yeah, not knowing when to stop. I do that a little bit.
As any girl I've ever asked out, I'd never know when to stop. I'm just roasting myself. This needs to stop. I don't mean any of these things. I'm just kidding. But
I don't have a problem with that. I will look at every PowerPoint I ever do, and I will constantly make it better. Until I have to say stop. It's good.
Until constantly going over. Yeah. So I see what you mean. That a lot of us have some of these, but some of these are pretty more extreme.
Yeah, right? It's part of a healthy, level of perfectionism. Yeah. Checking and hoarding, those are two things. Neither one of us do that. Being slow at a task, try and get it right. No, not for us. Avoiding tasks due to possibility of failure. Well, we wouldn't have started this. So no.
Yeah, no.
Not delegating work to others because we know we can do it.
No one can do it as well as you. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna be real with you. This one I remember specifically at work was hard. Whenever I would have either someone I was training or I guess technically someone under me, I don't like to use that word, but I would do most of the things. And if anything, I would do them and then say how I did them. And yeah, maybe I should stop doing that. I don't know how much anymore, but I know I used to do that. What about you?
Oh yeah, I have trouble with this one.
The same.
Yeah. I have trouble delegating. I'm better at it because, to be honest, I have to. I mean, I can't survive if I don't delegate. But in the back of my head, I'm thinking I would do that better. So I'm a closet. I have this behavior, but it's hidden.
You're a closet perfectionist.
I am. Okay, seeing things only black or white, no gray areas.
I do not do that. I dive in, boy. I'm about to dive in.
Blowing things out of proportion.
No.
You don't think you do a little bit?
Okay, you know what? That was proof that I do. That was a little out of proportion when I just did a little extra, huh?
You know what? You're doing less of this as you get older. But I've seen that in the past.
Of course. Yes, I absolutely blow things out of proportion. Yeah.
Jumping to conclusions.
Hold on. You kind of do. Do I? You get a phone call. Oh my God, someone's going to be hurt. Someone's hurt.
Well, because you got to text me first if you're going to call me to let me know that it's not an emergency.
A little emphasis on more things in our lives, though. I think when it's from our lives, you like to blow it up. You look at her. It's like, yeah.
Correcting others. We both do this. We call it constructive criticism, though. People need to know, right? We're helping.
But that should also be correcting others. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It depends on how it comes out.
Right.
Belittling people instead of informing, right? If someone doesn't know something that you know, it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with intelligence. It might have everything to do with whether they were exposed to the information or not. So why on earth should we be correcting in a negative way? And if anything, it's just bettering. Like, let me correct this. Let me tell you what I think, because this helps me and other things like that.
Yeah, I think it comes from what your motivation is in doing it.
Yeah.
For sure. So those are some behaviors and ways of thinking that might indicate you're a perfectionist. It could be that you just have perfectionist tendencies and you still have a healthy level. And sometimes you might notice those behaviors in some areas of your life and not others. So just, food for thought, something to think about.
So you guys at home, gauge yourself. Where are you? Is there something that we can work on or an area that we can get better so that we can improve not only your life, but everybody's life around you, right? Because the worst thing about being a perfectionist, everything you do might look amazing in someone else's eye, but in your heart, it will never truly be satisfied. So don't do it on anybody else's eyes, because sometimes, and more often than not, that's the motivation that we're looking for, even if we don't know it. So once again, through your own heart, through your own eyes, is this right? Once again, not perfect, is this right? Or whatever word you want to put that is better than perfect, that will cognitively give us a better chance of having positive emotions as opposed to negative. I just noticed I was kind of doing a lot of movements. So I wanted to go into it.
I've been trying to work on not doing this weird stuff with my lips because I do that a lot, I noticed. So a couple of things, a couple more strategies. Shift your focus to what you enjoy about the task. There must be something that you enjoy about what it is you're doing. Focus on that. Make decisions and stick to them. Go outside, take a mental break, and enjoy nature. One big strategy: break down your task into smaller tasks, and then meditate. Yeah.
Shift your focus to what you enjoy about the task. One thing there, I like to bring up kind of our field of vision, right? In our field of vision, there's only 1/1000th of our entire field of view that we can give 100% of our focus to, and that's about the size of our fingernail, ladies and gentlemen. So once again, we can only give 100% here. The more you go out, the more it fades, right? 90%, 80%, so on and so forth. So what are you focusing on? What is the thumbnail? Even though everything else might be negative, what is what we're focused on? It could be a goal. It could be maybe not being a perfectionist, so on and so forth. But once again, the focus really can change a lot of things. You can miss a lot of things that you necessarily don't want to see because you're so focused on the positive, so focused on the goal. Make decisions and stick to them. Once again, write them down. Boom, good to go. As soon as it becomes written down, it becomes concrete. Get outside, dude. Nature is always better. Break down your task into smaller tasks. That's just if you fail the plan, you're planning to fail, my boy or my girl or whoever, my student, my animals, whatever. Homo sapiens, I think is the technical term. And then meditation. Don't even get me started on that. Meditation is just amazing.
Right.
Just amazing. You come at me not going for meditation, I'll come at you. Freaking hurt. You ready for the hurricane?
So for my students watching, break down those assignments into small pieces and just turn it in. You got to just turn it in. It's not going to be perfect.
Prof herself. Yeah. From the prof herself. All right, we're at 8. We're up there. How much do you have left?
We're just doing. You're going to give us a little bit more inspiration, right? Maybe. Do you have any more quotes for us about perfectionism?
Let's see. Which ones did I not get to? This is actually mine. I actually revamped this from someone else. But let people be the pursuit of happiness. Don't ever be the pursuit of perfection, right? Because once again, happiness is where things can go wrong, but you still overcome them and can still have a great day, right? The entirety of your day will never be perfect. You will never have the perfect day, but you can always have a happy day. Always.
And always experience growth.
Always experience growth. And awe of this wondrous mechanism of the human body in the world in which we are in. It's so beautiful. It's never going to be perfect. Perfect is boring. Perfect is lame. Get out of my face.
So that's our show for today. See you next. Let's talk about it Tuesday when, as the mere exposure effect explains, you will like us even more.
You gotta end it, Mom. This is awkward.